Welcome to Council Connection. Thank you for joining us this hour. I am Spokane City Council member Betsy Wilkerson, and today we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. Due to Governor Inslee's safe start, we will be having some of our guests through the internet. First, though, I'd like you to just take a deep breath and join me. We've been on quite a journey. But to that end, I'd like to say that the City of Spokane is invested in its neighborhoods to help them plan economic opportunity, to invest in their dreams, and to give them a hand up working with their state and federal partners. Today, we will look at that partnership and how it has succeeded in one of our neighborhoods, East Fifth Avenue. The East Fifth Avenue initiative started during the prior administration with the help of two pastors. And with the help of the neighbors, they are creating a vision for the East Central to take them into the future. It's really exciting stuff. I hope you stick around. We have lots to share today. Welcome back. This morning I have with me Pastor Lonnie Mitchell and Pastor Rodney McAuley. We will be talking about the Fifth Avenue Initiative. So, good morning, Pastor Mitchell.
Good morning, Councilwoman Wilkerson.
So in full disclosure, Pastor Lonnie is my pastor, so you can hold him accountable for everything. So, Pastor, on the East Fifth Avenue Initiatives, tell me, how did you get involved in this?
You know, I got involved with the prior administration, and you know, we were just basically talking about how we might be able to beautify, resurrect the East Central community, and making sure that we get community engagement. One of the things that was lacking was the fact that people always wanted to go in and do something to the community, but there was a disconnect with the people who were living in the community. And so basically what we were trying to do was to muster up community engagement so that we could, so that, you know, the residents and the business owners can own what was going into East Central.
Absolutely. We have found it's good to bring people in at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Then at the end.
Absolutely.
So, Pastor Rodney, tell us how the community engagement came about.
Well, as Pastor Mitchell mentioned, there's been an ongoing effort to bring the community together. And going back to 2016, Pastor Mitchell and former Mayor David Condon specifically had come together to raise the priority level of community engagement, and recognizing that with all of the efforts, there had been some breakdown in communications. And so under the leadership of those two, we, and in partnership with Maureen Murphy from the city, we convened or restarted the conversations with additional stakeholders and partners, and had a series of community stakeholder meetings and forums to bring the conversation current.
Great. So that was over what time period? Like 2 months, 6 months, a year?
It was November and December of 2019, and we concluded in February with a couple of community forums where we gathered the information from the various stakeholder meetings and consolidated and came up with a draft strategy plan that was representative of the collective voice that we were able to convene, recognizing that there is still more work to be done.
Great, great. Now, Pastor Lonnie, you are a community organizer. You've been engaged in the East Central neighborhood for many, many years. How was this community organizing different than what you had done in the past?
You know, I think that we mustered up partnerships and collaboration more than we ever did, and I don't want to leave out James Wilburn, because James was initially really heading the East Central deal up, and did a phenomenal job in trying to solicit community engagement, and so it was really good. I guess my experience in community engagement was more with the Emmanuel Family Life Center, which pretty much was sort of alone, me and the community. But I think this in this setting is more of community engagement, where people are coming together and voicing, what their needs are, voicing, what their aspirations are in going forward in the community. And I think it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to engage in that. And so, like I was telling everybody, I don't want to lose that momentum.
Thanks.
And I'm so glad that we are connecting with the council to do a resolution, and hoping that we can move forward to not lose that momentum with the community that we have in hand right now.
I will say I was happy to be a part of that stakeholder group.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was many and varied voices.
Yeah.
And we heard from both sides of what people thought was best for Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
So Pastor Rodney, what were some of the concerns that came out of this stakeholder group around the East Fifth Avenue initiative?
Well, if I may, even before answering that question, permit me to echo a bit on what Pastor Lonnie just said. The words honoring heritage and building legacy come to mind, because one of the highlighted beauties that I experienced going through this renewal of effort was how the voices that had been very much a part of the process were engaged and recognized, and there was a collective impact type of interaction that was experienced. And so it's just a matter of an unfolding, ongoing pursuit of revitalization. And so in specific answer to your question, coming out of the stakeholder meetings and the two forums, there is a draft strategy plan that is actually on the city website, and I'll just read in summary what those specific bullet points are. And there are 6 of them,
But
A through F, beginning with one.
But Pastor Rodney,
yes.
Before you read those 5, what were the concerns that citizens had around this renewal, this interest in East Central? Were there any things that came up? I know gentrification was one word that I heard about, was one of the concerns that came out of this.
Yes, okay. In light of what has been a recognized long-term disinvestment with the renewed efforts to engage, gentrification was a concern. Another concern was the absence of all of the diverse voices. Another concern, which was a priority for us to address, is the identification of the Fifth Avenue or the East Central collective neighborhood's identity, taking into consideration that we are very diverse in terms of socioeconomic, ethnic, faith, immigration status, And so the economic and the social diversity makes for a challenge in identifying a collective identity. And that's a primary concern that surfaced in our conversations and even is hoped to be addressed in the strategic planning going forward.
Absolutely. So now back to those points of going forward. What were some of the ones that were identified from this collective group?
Okay, well, there was defining the Fifth Avenue identity and foster collaboration, promoting coordination among community service providers, improving the Fifth Avenue streetscapes to promote safety and accessibility, to preserve and expand options for affordable housing to support residents at every life stage and economic condition, to promote vibrant neighborhood commercial opportunities and jobs that reflect the diversity of the community, and then finally, to protect and enhance neighborhood parks and trails.
Great, great. So Pastor Mitchell, what was your take on this collective vision?
I think that the thing that a takeaway from what Pastor Rodney was talking about was the idea of starting something collectively together that can get started, so that so that can be visual identity of a community working together. And so one of the things that we hit on initially was the construction of the new library. And so what we were trying to do was to engage, get engagement from the community to surround that effort, and for all of us to own the library in such a way that it belongs to the East Central.
Absolutely.
You know, and so yeah, that's a major takeaway for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you this morning for joining me. I want to thank both of you for your efforts and commitment to the East Fifth Avenue Initiative as we together plot a path forward. Thank you both.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Please come back and join us. We will have Representative Marcus Riccelli coming to share his commitment to the investment in East Central neighborhood and the pathway forward.
Hi, Meals on Wheels.
I'm Marco. I'm a college student and I volunteer as a driver for Meals on Wheels.
I think it's awesome meeting these people. I mean, they're so interesting. They've had so many wonderful experiences in life. Your community helps to raise you up into the person that you become. Meals on Wheels is a great way to give back to that community.
Welcome back to Council Connection. With me today is Representative Marcus Riccelli. We're excited and we're going to hear a little about how he has helped invest in East Central. Welcome, Marcus. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. So excited to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. You know, first thing I know is you got passionate around dental care.
Yeah.
And then that translated into helping them get the dental clinic at East Central. So tell me, how's that going and where's the process? Do you have any idea when that might come online?
Yeah, so we're really excited. It looks like it's still being targeted for early September. Okay. Foundation is poured. Great. They did have a delay in building because of the COVID pandemic, but they're back. They've been back about 2 weeks. Wow. And there's going to be 7 operatories there. And yeah, I got really excited. I didn't have a background in dental health or healthcare, but I was really moved by somebody who talked about their issues in and out of the emergency room, and I really have bought into that all health starts with oral health, and we need more access in our community.
We do. You're absolutely right. That is a challenge, especially in low-income neighborhoods.
Yes.
Also, I know that you were a contributing factor in the Carl Maxey Center, helping us get that building up and running, and how we're advancing down that. So really the neighborhood wants to thank you for your investment in East Central. What's about East Central that have made you really kind of target us in that way?
Well, I think we know that all kids deserve to thrive, and all people deserve to thrive no matter what zip code they were born in, and we know that that right now that's not the community that we're living in, and so we need to make sure that people have access to great educational opportunities, they have access to health care. But I do know that it's a community that's really comes to the table to say this is what we need, and,
Right.
and from the Collar Maxey Center to access to dental health. What we like to do at the state level is, hey, these are your tax dollars. These are ways we can reinvest them right back into your neighborhood
Perfect.
in a way that you want to. And
Perfect.
so what's unique about East Central is the history and the community, the pride, and just to be able to help people achieve some of the goals for the neighborhood. That's just me being a conduit. And so the ability for people to come and say, this is what we need, and how can we work to get it done, is something that I really enjoy, and working with the community on that.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm pretty invested in East Central. So I went to Edison Elementary, which was the elementary school on the site where MLK is today. That was built in 1972. So just to personally live through that time at East Central was really important to me. Also, what's been important is coming on council, able to shepherd through the name change, because the community was a little divided over whether it's East Central Community Center or MLK Community Center, and actually being able to bridge that and honor both, because the people who worked to get East Central up was in a time where they were trailblazers. They were trailblazers, and they actually paved the way actually for the MLK Community Center to be there on that site. So we're excited. So as the dental clinic goes up, the ECAP Center has been built on that site already. And so we're just looking forward to the library at the other end of Fifth Avenue. So our whole Fifth Avenue initiative just came about because people said it's time. You know, East Central has felt a little bit disenfranchised from the community. So again, under your leadership and people's relationship with you from the community, that's been huge. It has been huge. So I just want to thank you, and thank you for that. So with all this going on, how do you see our path forward? You can just tell me holistically on the state level, or you could focus it down to Spokane.
Well, I think, again, we have challenges in Spokane, and looking forward to a state budget because of the COVID pandemic. We're looking at major shortfalls in revenue. So we need to make sure we're making those important targeted investments, that we're getting resources out to people. I'm particularly been concerned about food sustainability and making sure that our basic needs are met as we come out of the governor's moratorium on people being able to stay in their place without without paying rent, if that's being necessitated, what kinds of housing challenges there will be.
Yeah.
I was schooled up at Gonzaga, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and
Right.
the basics, we got to make sure that first and foremost that those are being met and we don't go backwards, because we can't have people thrive if they don't have food, housing, health care. And I just want to thank you for bringing the voice of that community and your whole council district, and making sure that we are not leaving people behind.
We cannot.
And we cannot, especially out of this crisis.
No, we cannot.
Because what's been eye-opening for me is to work on the food sustainable issue and hunger issues, is that people are coming together to attack it now, but we've had those systemic problems.
Yes,
and
we have.
so hopefully we can change course to just really end hunger in our community.
Yes. You know, you're absolutely right. I've done some volunteer work on some nonprofits, philanthropy through the foundations. And food insecurity has been on the radar for a long time.
Right.
For a long time, it's just challenged our thinking that we're here in America and people don't have enough to eat. But that Maslow's, I've always tell you, you can't get them to the next level
Without the basics.
lest they have a roof over their head and some food in their stomach going forward. Well, with the budget issues coming up, I know that will be challenging for all of us.
Yes,
all of
definitely.
us, and the unknown has been challenging for all of us. But I think we've been in it together. I think it's been pretty okay. What's been the most surprising thing, positive, that's come out of this whole experience for you?
Oh, really, for me, it has been working on the food insecurity issues, whether it be somebody coming down to a site where we do Spokane Food Fighters and just checking it out, and the next Sunday paying for all the meals that we were delivering that day, to business owners stepping up, like Northern, our local restaurants
Right.
to get involved in this. This kind of grassroots organic feel that we're all in it together, I think has been really amazing. And I believe in the Stay Strong Together
I do
tag,
too.
and
I
it's
do
very
too.
Spokane, and the way that people are helping neighbors out. And it's through the big types of efforts, the Second Harvest of the world,
Right.
like food pantries and food banks, but it's also through understanding that, helping neighbors in
Right.
need, which is kind of the fabric that is Spokane.
Yes. And I concur with that. One thing I've learned is, first of all, this has really shown us some gaps in our system.
Yeah.
That a lot of us knew the gaps were there, but this has really brought them to the forefront. But on the flip side of that, I cannot minimize the generosity of the city at all levels. I mean, Spokane just seems to challenge, and they just seem to rally around that. And just across the board, I've been excited about different cultural communities working together and breaking down walls, Marcus, has been huge, where we would have gotten there, but this just got us there a little quicker than what we wanted to. So for that, I'm thankful.
Well, I think we're going to get there in this community quicker because you're serving as a council member. So
Thank you.
And I'll look to your leadership too, the way that we can create partnerships at the state level, but also do things differently to make sure that we're an inclusive community. And this is a great time for us to come together
It's a
as we
great
move out
time.
of this pandemic, because
agree.
there's a lot of need and a lot of good hearts out
A lot
there.
of good hearts. Well, listen, again, thank you for joining me today. Thank you
Absolutely.
for all you do. And Inland #strong. So there you
I
go.
like it.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
Thanks, council member.
Coming up next, we'll be talking with Michael Brown, who has a business on East 5th Avenue. You don't want to miss it.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Back in the day, Liberty Park looked way different with wading pools and open green spaces. It was our little oasis. It was surrounded by working class people in a close-knit community who spent their weekends in the park. I remember going to the wading pool at Liberty Park where me and my brothers and sisters would have fun. Of course, this was after they had to rebuild the park because most of the old park was torn up by the freeway. The freeway brought a lot of opportunities, but in a way, it divided the neighborhood. So with that, my next guest is Michael Brown. Welcome, Michael. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you.
We were just sitting here before we went on the air just talking about, we went to Edison Elementary together.
Yes, we did.
We went to Libby Junior High together.
Yes.
I think we lived within 4 blocks of each other.
Yes, we did.
Our parents probably whooped us each other collectively. And your sister Wendy was my best friend. So you and I both are very connected to East Central, and it's very close to our hearts.
Yes, it is.
So, Michael, tell me, what was your vision that sparked the restaurant and the mentoring programs and Sarah? Just kind of, let's just start from there.
Okay. First of all, I got to give all credit to God. I mean, because He gave me the vision. See, and I could either pick it up and run with it, or I could have went the other way. See, so I decided to go His way, and that vision, I want to always be able to give back. I always want to be able to give something back. If I was ever to be able to be a successful black man, I just felt I had the obligation to help young men and women, black or white,
Absolutely.
that has been disfranchised,
Yeah.
you know, with the disparity, homelessness, hopelessness, most importantly, hopelessness.
Yes.
And I want to be able to give back, because I believe when you can give back without the expectation of anything in return, then you truly, really feel what it's like to serve others.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the restaurant's going great. What are you preparing to reopen? We're in phase 2 now.
Yeah, the restaurant is preparing to open up again.
Great.
And which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But we're not in a rush. See, so we're not going to just jump out there right away, even though it's phase 2. What we're doing in that time is we're critiquing our job training program, our curriculum for our youth.
Right.
See, so since it's phase 2 now we can bring the youth in and start training them again, where we have 17 kids on the waiting list.
Oh, 17.
17 kids on the waiting list. So
Absolutely.
what I'm going to do is I got 5 already. We're going to start here probably the first part of June.
Perfect,
See.
perfect. That's exciting.
Yes.
I think for us in the Black community, I know you and I were raised that we are helpers one of another.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's just ingrained in us. So that
Ingrained.
reaching back and bringing others along. Now, talk a little about the SARA program.
The SARA program, now, we have, once again, for those who don't know, I know who you know, I'm the founder and the executive director
Right.
of Spokane Eastside Reunion Association.
Right.
Now, that's SARA for short, all capital letters, SERA. Now, what that is a collaborative effort, Bessie, that strives to restore, promote, and revitalize a sense of community throughout our city's neighborhoods. We are dedicated to supporting underserved neighborhoods and at-risk youth by instilling a sense of community, resilience, and celebration in the lives of all. We are also a concerned people committed to addressing intergenerational poverty, violence, and neglect through the Spokane area. We have 3 major programs that focuses on advancing education and economic opportunities for youth experiencing poverty. Our first program is our Mentor Tutor program, where we have collaborated with all the colleges here in Spokane, Washington.
Wow.
And they send us their students, and they come in and help these kids get to the next level. Mentorship, help them in homework, help them being a mentor, big sister or brother. And the whole objective of that program, Betsy, is to get these kids to the next level once we're done with them, once they leave high school,
Yes.
and to build resilience. Our second program that we're very happy to speak on is our basketball camp for disadvantaged youth. Now, Betsy, we all know who disadvantaged kids are. Kids that have been cut out, kids that have been priced out of different programs.
Right.
See?
Right.
And our program has allowed these kids to come in and take part in these activities. We started this program 8 years ago with 10 kids, well over 100-something kids in the program today. See, so we're very happy to say that, and my job is to get out there and find sponsors that help these kids go to this program. It's an 8-week program. Kids receive new shoes, socks, breakfast, and lunch.
And so
8-week
that program starts, when will the program?
Now that
what's the-
program, unfortunately, because of this COVID,
Right.
we're thinking about starting the program. When we start that program, it'll probably be in late June,
Right.
but it'll only be able to go for 4 weeks.
Yes.
See, because of the COVID.
Right. But historically, it would start when?
Historically, it'll start the same 2 days after school, usually out on a Thursday. We'll start that following Monday.
Wow.
Right when school's out, then we'll go for the whole summer, 4 days a week.
Wow.
See?
So, Michael, that also lets me know, or I want people to know, that provides safe childcare
Exactly.
for many of those kids and for those families.
Exactly.
Yeah,
See?
and that's just critical for our neighborhood.
It's critical for our neighborhood, but Betsy, not just for our neighborhood. Our organization gives a scholarship to every school in District 81. One scholarship every year. We also have partnered with the Central Valley School District, where we give every one of their schools from elementary to junior high a scholarship as well. See, so if you do the math, that program costs us about $50,000, $60,000 a year to put on. Okay.
Right.
And then the whole object of that program is to curb obesity in our kids today that we have, to teach these kids basic basketball fundamentals, to teach these kids resiliency,
Wow.
and more importantly, life skills.
Michael, that is a huge gap. We know it. We're from a different generation
Right.
of how we were raised from kids today. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge and thank you. Opening that restaurant down there and that program
Let me tell you
has
about that
been the
program.
spark, has been the spark to the revitalization of the East Fifth Avenue. And lots of things are happening down there
Right.
because of that and the vision going forward. So we
Let me
just
tell
want
you
to
about that.
applaud that.
Real quick about the Fresh Soul. Fresh Soul is a life skills job training program, Betsy, that serves youth between the ages of 13 and 18 years old. Now, not only do we have the best food in Spokane,
I know that's right.
see, some people are saying in the state of Washington, this program doubles as a youth workforce development initiative. Through job training at Fresh Soul, youth will gain the skills that's necessary that's going to change their trajectory from poverty to a lifelong career through education, economic opportunities. Now, we do have goals for these kids, and the goal is that these kids have learned entrepreneurship, learn basic training, and learn what it's like to work in front of people.
Yeah.
See, we also change the lives of these kids through the ministry of obedience. See, if a lot of people say, well, how are you going to do this? Through entrepreneurship, teaching these kids, most importantly, love. See, we're going to love on these kids where they probably have little or none at all. But I just want everybody to know this is not a Michael thing, Betsy. It's not a Sarah thing. It's a God thing. He's made it all possible. I can't take no credit for it, Betsy, nor shall I.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I believe God opens the door. We just have the courage to walk through it.
Exactly.
You just have to walk through it.
Exactly.
And you did. And because of that,
Thank you. Thank
the
you.
neighborhood is better. And it's so funny that you and I, who were knuckleheads in the East Side.
Yeah, especially me.
Yeah, especially you. I'll give you that. Especially you. That we're sitting here. But I have to mention that this is the only program that's really targeting. So back in the day, remember Bishop Hamp's camp?
Yes.
There was a minister who took underprivileged black kids to the lake and gave them a different
Yeah,
experience.
a different
That's
experience.
exactly
Yeah.
what's happening
Right.
down there.
Me and Pastor
today.
Keith Jones talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
How,
yes.
Just giving them the exposure
Exactly.
to things that they might not have exposure to.
And
I
we-
think that's critical.
And Betsy, we haven't had a camp like that since Hamp.
No.
Since and,
Yeah, Hamp's camp.
Since Ham's camp. It's a beautiful thing that's happening, and I'm just so glad that he chose me, the man upstairs, to do this. And and now that we got people like yourself in these positions, that we're a nonprofit.
Right.
See, and I don't know a nonprofit in the United States that do not need help. See?
Absolutely.
See, because
Absolutely.
and that's what we're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you for today, and we will certainly put your information up there.
Please.
And in these times, if people have generosity, think of Fresh Soul
Thank
and
you.
Sarah.
That's right.
And when it's open, come on down and eat.
When it come on down and eat.
Come on down and eat. All right. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll be seeing you soon when you're open.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
As we go to break, we will view a short video of Fresh Soul. The food's amazing. Southern, ribs, chicken, catfish, mac and cheese. I'm getting hungry. Please watch.
Fresh Soul, this is Ashley. How may I help you?
3 ribs and a large grain.
This is soul food. This is the real deal. We got ribs, chicken, hot leg, pulled pork, pulled rib, and of course fried chicken. This also is a mentor program. First and foremost, we want to mentor these kids.
Mr. Brown has always had an open door. If you really want it and you come down and prove that you really want it, he'll give you the chance.
All kids are looking for discipline. They really do want some discipline, and we're gonna make sure they get that here.
I think it's good when you're ready for it. I mean, starting off young is perfect. I think you're less likely to get on bad paths like drugs, alcohol, and all that. Plus, I have a job and I can make some money, so that's kind of cool.
But we're trying to teach these kids to be consistent in what you're doing.
They're easy, but when they want things done, they want it done right and immediately.
I need a red bean.
Before I started this program, I was a super shy person. I didn't want to talk to nobody. Then, like the next few days, I would talk to everybody. I still do. I've learned quite a lot.
So when I go to find another job, I can be reliable.
We're going to give these kids some skills to have when they're ready to go to the next level. This is not a Michael thing, this is not a Sarah thing, this is a God thing we're doing here. It's a community, we want people to get involved here.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back. I have two exciting guests joining me now. One is Sandy Williams, the editor of The Black Lens, and I want to say we're celebrating her 5 years. Thank you so much. The Black Lens provides a different perspective and a different voice to the communities of color. Also joining me is Kara Odegaard, who is a sustainability analyst for the city. Between the two, we're going to be looking forward for what can happen down on the East 5th Avenue. So Sandy, first of all, let's just start with the Carl Maxey Center. And just tell me, how did the name come about? What was the thought process around that?
Well, the thought process was, we wanted to have an African American cultural center, something that was focused on uplifting the African American community, all of Spokane, but in particular the African American community. And so, we were thinking of the traditional names that you think about when you're trying to uplift the African American community, some of the black people from history. And I was talking to a friend of mine and she said, well, wasn't there somebody in the Spokane community that sort of embodies what your building is going to stand for? So after we thought about it, the only name that made a lot of sense for us was Carl Maxey. I mean, Carl Maxey was the first black attorney that graduated from Gonzaga University Law School, and he sort of single-handedly took on racism in Spokane.
Right.
And so that was important to us, what he stood for in this community. And so it just, at that point, it was sort of a no-brainer. It made sense.
Today we've been talking a lot about community engagement. And I was asked, how did we come to the focus of what we want to provide at the Carl Maxey Center? And in full disclosure, I am board chair of the Carl Maxey Center, so I'm pretty excited about this, but I'm restraining myself. So I'm going to let Sandy talk at this time.
Yeah, it was great. It was, once we purchased the building, we went to the community and asked them. That's what we did. So we had several focus groups where we invited community members to come in. We had a big open house that drew over 100 people. We handed them 3x5 cards, told them to walk through the building and tell us what they saw while they were in there. And that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And so we took all of that information, we gathered it together, kind of distilled it down to figure out what were the themes that came out of that, and we came up with 4 of them. So cultural enrichment, racial and social justice, education, and business and workforce development. So that all of that's distilled down to those 4 things, so that's what we decided to focus on.
Yeah, that's great. And there's a theme about what's going on East 5th Avenue, and they're all coalescing around those very themes. So I know, and I have to speak as a board chair, we're a small nonprofit. We've only been up and running about 2.5 years. We were 5 people who came together around a table with a vision, and then within a year we had bought a building, we became a 501c3, and we got funding and community support, and you thought we were going pretty slow. But I'm a nonprofit, and to get a nonprofit up and running to where we're at in 2.5 years was rapid.
I hear that's pretty fast.
That's really fast, Sandy. So we're excited. So tell me where we're at with the building right now.
So we were excited that we got a grant from the state Department of Commerce through their capital budget. That's going to fund the first phase of the remodel. So we own this great funky brick building on 5th Avenue. And but it's an old funky brick building.
Old and funky.
Old and funky. The roof leaks. We did a meeting in there last year, and we had buckets under the the water that was leaking. So you know, it needs help. It needs some TLC and it needs some help. So the first phase of the remodel is going to build out a meeting room with a stage and some bathrooms so that we can actually become really functional. So we have the money secured, and I think, knock on wood, we're going to get our permits next month to start the remodel. Like, I'm so excited. I'm really excited. It's been an interesting process. I've learned so much in the past year and a half, things that I never knew that I didn't know. But I think we're going to, knock on wood, that we're going to start rolling with the remodel next month.
I think we are, and that's exciting. Kara, I want to bring in, as we're looking forward, some ideas around new technology that could be placed in East Central. So please tell us that vision and how we could all work together.
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me today. It's great to be here. We have, as the city, have been working with some regional partners. That includes the Spokane Regional Transportation Commission and STA, along with Urbanova and our partners at Avista, to bring together a regional plan for shifting our transportation system to electric fuel source. And currently we are working together to put together a regional application to a Department of Commerce grant that could potentially bring $2.5 million into our region to help support electric transportation infrastructure. What I'm really excited about, there are a couple things with this plan that excite me, and one of them is the technology that's changing and the opportunities that brings along. We've been working in partnership on this grant with Urbanova, who has already been doing some outreach in the East Central neighborhood to better understand how technology can help better the lives of folks throughout our city, but specifically around the Fifth Avenue and Liberty Park area. And we have a vision for not only putting in transportation or electric charging infrastructure to help facilitate access to electric transportation, but also to provide learning opportunities and hopefully partner with people like the Karl Maxey Center to bring the technology in and start allowing people and specifically youth to really learn about what this means for them in terms of, maybe there's a new job opportunity. Maybe it's just fun to learn how these transportation systems work, but also how transitioning into electric transportation will not only have positive outcomes for the environment, but save the consumer money in the end as well.
Well, thank you, Kara, because I have a gas car, but when my grandkids start driving, they will probably have an electric vehicle. So we know it's coming, and you shared there's already quite a used market for electric vehicles, which I was not aware of.
And I think the thing that's really exciting for me about that is typically neighborhoods like East Central, particularly the Fifth Avenue of East Central, that's not where technology tends to go to. So it's exciting that's even a possibility for our area, and that the people in that neighborhood and the people that we're going to work with at the center are going to see that as something that's coming to them that they can be a part of, and I'm really excited about that.
It's definitely, we would like to hear, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to what Sandy was saying, and that we definitely are in the beginning phases of this process, and our intention is really to reach out and hear from folks who live and work in that community to find out the best way to approach this, and so that it not only fits into this regional plan, but also fits into the plans and objectives for that community and the Fifth Avenue project. So yeah, we're really excited to start those conversations.
Well, I'm excited because we would be on the forefront and not the back end.
The back end. Exactly.
On many occasions, East Central has been left behind. And this is very forward thinking for us to help transform our neighborhood going forward. We had a guest, Michael Brown. We're talking about just the sparks that are happening along the East 5th corridor. Sandy, what other vision do you have that you see when the Karl Maxey is truly built out to its full potential?
Wow, I just got off the phone with someone this afternoon who has a traveling museum that looks at STEM through an African perspective and wants to bring that over here. So it's like it's like if you build it, they will come, you know? So there's so much around, particularly around technology, because technology is where it's at. And it's important that that particular community doesn't get left behind as we're moving towards a more technological future. And so that's what I see us as sort of the intermediary place that can bring all of that exciting stuff and bring it to this community in a way that people can access it and grow and blossom in it. And I'm really excited about that. And things just keep popping up. Like this is just one example of so many things that I think are available.
Well, thank both of you for sharing your vision. I too am excited because there's technologies kind of jumped over the East Central neighborhood, and we have challenges to meet for our youth because we're investing in them also as we go forward. So you'll be hearing more about the Karl Maxey Center. You'll be hearing more about sustainability from Kara Odegaard with the city. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining me on Council Connections. You can reach me at bwilkerson@SpokaneCity.org. I look forward to hearing from you, and be safe, be happy.